Hi, guys. Good afternoon. Happy Saturday to you, and welcome back once again to the EdWord. In today's video, I will be doing my film review for Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which I just saw last night. Overall, it was great, very much enjoyable, and highly recommended. And before I start blabbering on about it, as usual with all of my review videos, whether it be episode or film reviews, please be warned if you have not seen this movie, do not keep watching or listening to this video, as I will be discussing big spoilers and epic scenes from it. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, go out and go watch it right now at your local theater and buy your ticket right now. It's a lot of fun. I guarantee you zombie lovers will love it, and perhaps fans of the book as well. I've never read the book, but I certainly enjoyed it, and I'll explain why. So that's my spoiler warning. You guys have been warned. That being said, very good. Very entertaining movie. When it first came out about a week ago, it got a lot of mixed reviews. Like, I saw half and half liked it, half hated it. And I didn't want to ruin it or spoil it for myself, so I didn't read those reviews into depth. But after seeing this movie, I think I can see where people are coming from, why they didn't like it. For starters, a lot of people felt like there was too much talking between human characters going on and not enough zombie killing. Or people thought that, if that wasn't their problem, they thought there wasn't enough zombie killing, period. And the kills weren't gross enough, and the characters weren't that likable or relatable, and stuff like that. I personally enjoyed it very much. I have never read the book Pride and Prejudice, and especially Pride and Prejudice and Zombies. I was familiar with the book. It sounded like a lot of fun. It sounds like a good read. And after watching this movie, I'd kind of like to read it now. But, I went into this movie with an open mind, not knowing what to expect. And I gotta say, walking away from it, I really liked it. Sure, it wasn't the greatest thing ever known to man, but I very much really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good zombie flick, and I thought to myself, you know what? People who love zombie movies, regardless of what time period they're set in or whatever, this was a good, fun zombie movie, and I highly recommend it. So I guess 2 thumbs up, like they always say, those film critics who are always like 2 thumbs way up, like Siskel and Ebert. But yeah, it was very much enjoyable. I think the character I liked the most was the lead guy, Mr. Darcy, who was the colonel in the army, whose job was basically seeking and destroying recently bitten zombies. And what's interesting about this movie is that even if you turn into a zombie, and this is how they explain it, until you eat your first human brains, you actually retain your humanity and your personality. Like, there's this scene where the main girl, Elizabeth Bennet, Lily James' character, spins around. She's outside of a party and she sees this freshly reanimated corpse, but it's still functioning. It's still talking like the late Mrs. Featherstone, I believe her name was. Yeah, Featherstone. But right before she can tell her what she has to tell her, sure enough, her head gets blown off her body, and it's really unexpected. You're like, whoa, what the hell? And there's Darcy with an old flintlock pistol as well. Oh god, it's something else that was super funny. The opening credits, the voiceover narration by Charles Dance from Game of Thrones, Tywin Lannister, who played the elder Bennett in this movie, the father of all the girls. He's doing a voiceover narration explaining how the zombie apocalypse started in the 17th century and the 18th century. And it was the funniest thing. During the opening credits, he says, naturally, the French were to blame for the epidemic. Because everybody blames the French for everything, especially in those days. Oh man, it was funny. But it was really creative too, how they tied in the whole exploring the new world, the new American colonies, and then new diseases being brought back from the new world back to Old England. And that's what started the zombie apocalypse. They explain how they walled off London and how the rest of England, if London fell, England would fall because there's zombies all over the place. But what was just so fascinating to me is like, I haven't seen too many zombie movies like this where the zombies are still talking and functioning. But this movie, the zombies aren't just a mindless horde of flesh eaters. They are, some of them retain their humanity by resisting the urge to eat human brains, because apparently, as I explained earlier, you can maintain your humanity and your status in society as an upstanding average Joe citizen and still be a zombie as long as you hide it from the rest of the public and you don't eat human brains. A good substitute apparently is pig brains, as one of the as one of the other main male characters, Colonel Wickham shows Lily James's character. And for those of you who've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. That scene at St. Lazarus. I liked that tie-in to. I'm not religious by any means, but I did understand the Lazarus reference. You know, the resurrection of the dead man who was brought back to life by Jesus Christ, supposedly. So the church that is attended by the functioning zombies in society is called St. Lazarus, which I thought was pretty clever. That was pretty cool. Great zombie kills. I mean, beautiful women killing zombies. Yeah, that's awesome and kind of hot. Really hot women in this movie, too. Very, very hot. Something else I really, really enjoyed about it. It was a bit tricky to understand at first, but the language that was being used and spoken was not super easy to follow, but easy enough to follow. It was that old 18th, 17th or 18th century English that prim and proper people used back in the day when having a good laugh or conversation with one another. Ha 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 ha, aren't we fancy? And it was a little hard to understand and to follow at first, but as the movie went along, I found it was easier to figure out what they were talking about, who they were talking about, and why. I have a similar problem while following Shakespearean movies or plays, for that matter. But it takes a while. At first you kind of don't know what they're saying, but then after a while you start to catch on. You start to pick up on it. And I'm wondering if one of the reasons why people didn't like this movie was because they had a hard time understanding the language, which I could totally understand and sympathize with. It is very difficult to follow that kind of old language. But something else I really enjoyed was the usage of that language in a film where you have all these highly trained citizens who are trained in fighting arts from China and Japan, these different martial arts with swords and knives and guns, and how they dispatch and kill zombies so quickly and efficiently. And then they are using this old English that you never hear used anymore. And I just thought it was the greatest combination, like prim and proper English being used while decapitating zombies left and right. Ha 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 ha, what fun. It was a fun movie, I gotta say. It was really enjoyable. Liked Mr. Darcy a lot. It was great seeing Charles Dance and, of course, oh God, her name's going to escape me. Lena Headey, or Hadley, I think. You guys know her as Cersei Lannister from Game of Thrones, of course. She was in it as Lady Catherine, who was an interesting character. She was like a renowned zombie killer at the time. So I liked it. I'm not familiar with the story of Pride and Prejudice, so I don't know how closely they followed the original story, but I think more book fans were more concerned about people following the book of Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, because that's the actual name of the book where the movie gets its title from, obviously. But I very much enjoyed it. I really, really liked it, and I hope you guys did too, for those of you who've seen it. And for those of you who have not seen it, I don't think I spoiled too much for you. There's some great zombie action sequences in it, some great zombie killing, some very, very funny moments. Oh my God, Matt Smith, the guy who plays Doctor Who, Matt Smith was super funny as Parson Collins. Oh my. And, he was trying to be all prim and proper, but he was kind of a wuss at the same time, and he was like great comic relief. Much needed comic relief, because, the movie was dealing with themes about trying to fit into society, people using each other, and on top of all of that, the zombie apocalypse is going on as well. And something else I also enjoyed in that opening scene where Mr. Darcy is at that parlor room on somebody's property where all these rich people are playing games with each other. And and then the first thing he does when he suspects somebody is hiding or concealing a fresh zombie bite, he has a little glass jar that he keeps that's small enough in his pocket, and keeps live flies in there, and so he lets them out, and then he lets the flies root out the recently infected person. I thought, oh, what a creative way to figure out who's been infected with a zombie bite or not, because the flies are drawn to dead flesh. What an interesting idea. And sure enough, the flies fly directly towards the person who's infected and where their bite mark is concealed or covered. And I thought that was very cool. An opening, and of course, that opening scene where he uses the broken glass to slit the guy's throat and then eventually cut off his head and then stomp on it repeatedly. That was very, very cool. I was like, okay, there's our first zombie kill in the movie. That's excellent. Overall, very fun movie. Highly recommended to zombie lovers. And if you're fans of the book, I think you'll probably very much enjoy it. I guess I can't say that from personal experience since I've never read the book. But if it follows the gist of it, it's probably going to be you're probably going to walk away still feeling satisfied with what you got, what you paid for. Well, guys, what did you think of the movie? Please leave your comments and your reviews and feedback down below in the comments section. I'd love to hear from everybody. Let's be respectful and civil of one another's opinions, of course. And of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more movie reviews and TV reviews. Stick around this Sunday night for my episode review of the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead, returning to AMC this Sunday night on Valentine's Day, so stay tuned for that. And thanks again for watching, guys. If I don't see you again later today, have a great rest of the day. Enjoy your weekend. And of course, until next time, may the Force be with you.